Welcome to ITNIC. We are doing this pitch event every Thursday. We have some people connected via Zoom today and some here in our office. Just brief introduction about ITNIC. We're a company holding. We started a few internet and technology businesses, and around 1.5 years ago, we started investing in other people's companies. We like to invest between 100,000 and 150,000 euro. And we do this event to know new projects, hopefully invest in some of you, but we also commit to giving you feedback after the session. So the format is going to be, it's going to be 5 projects today, I believe. We're going to do 3-minute pitch. After the pitch, we're going to do around 5-minute Q&A. Anybody from the audience here in the office or via Zoom can ask questions. So you can write the questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions via Zoom directly. And then after the 5 minutes, we will give a little bit of feedback. And this feedback will include either an invitation to continue the conversation and potentially explore an investment, or decline the opportunity to invest. I also want to say that we try to provide feedback that is useful. It's not always the feedback that the entrepreneurs like to hear, but it's still our feedback, it's our opinion, it's not necessarily the truth. So hopefully you can use this feedback for whatever you want, and hopefully we find projects to invest. We invested in 6 projects, almost 7 so far, and we cannot wait to invest in 1 or 2 more in the next couple of months. So what else? I think that's it. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more about ITNIC when we close the session today. We're going to be strict with the time because we have 5 projects today. So I'll be rude and just cut you after the 3 minutes and the 5-minute Q&A. And when we do the last round of feedback, there is no opportunity to rebate because otherwise we would be here forever. But we can always chat afterwards, either here, via email, or most of you chase us around LinkedIn and so on to discuss anyway, and we're happy to do that. So first project today is, can somebody? Okay, so go ahead. Oh, your microphone is there.
Hello, good afternoon, or good evening. So my name is Bárbara Buades. I'm the CEO of Meetoptics, and I want to start explaining what do 3 technologies that you probably know have in common. So the detection of obstacles that is used in autonomous vehicles, the most efficient way of disinfecting COVID, and quantum technologies. So these 3 technologies have in common that they are technologies from the present, from the future, but they use light as the basic of the technology. And this we call it photonics. Photonics is a multi-100 billion market, growing very fast in the number of applications. And this leads the market with a problem that the market is very highly unstructured, which makes that an engineer, when they want to find a lens that costs maybe 500 euros, they spend weeks or months comparing each of the different specifications manually from the different suppliers. And there are not many, there are more than 30 different specifications and more than 10,000 lenses in the market. I am a physicist. I did my PhD in physics here in Castelldefels at ICFO. And when I was doing my PhD, it was very frustrating to see that facilities that cost millions, they are stopped weeks, months, just to find these lenses. When I finished my PhD about 2 years ago, I wanted to develop a platform that's a reference platform in this field of photonics to accelerate the access to this technology. And together with my co-founder, we started Meetoptics. Meetoptics connects our users, who are engineers, researchers, and innovators in the field of photonics, with our clients, who are providers of these products and technologies. And we do that through simulations, best practices, and referrals. We started factoring. The first revenues were the March last year, and we are with our first clients in the middle of COVID. And since then, these clients paid to put their products on our site. And since then, we had 8 clients that wanted to put their product. From them, one is Edmund Optics, that has revenues more than $400 million per year. And then we realized that the market was also requiring that we match their needs of technology with the providers. So we offer these services by commissioning 10%. Up to now, we got more than 54 requests of technologies, and we had 15 partnerships with people in the industry. We closed a pre-seed round of 100K last year, and this made us grow a bit in the number of people in the team. So now we are 7 with a burn rate of 15K per month, and we are raising 1 million that will help us develop the meta search in the different lines of products that are complementary with the products that we have now, mainly. And this will help us be the reference in this field of the field of photonics. So thank you. The questions, yeah.
Do you see if we have questions online? Okay. Do we have questions in the audience? Giving you my back.
Who is Albert? Who called me you? Okay.
Exactly. The service you provide is to put in contact the resources with the R&D laboratories that want to use these services. Is that right? Or?
Yeah, that's one of the main streams of revenues we have at the moment. The other one is to place in a meta search engine that we design all the products there. So we designed an AI meta search for all these products, and now we have over 35,000 products listed. Each of them has 30 different specifications, so it's a big database. And this is one part of the business, and the other part of the business is to match the technology that we have requested. So some of the companies that requested these projects are, for example, Volkswagen, Philips, Intuitive Surgical. So for example, Intuitive Surgical, they do endoscopes, and they wanted to see how the endoscope can focus different distances inside the body. So they wanted the technology, I mean, the endoscopes are very small, so they wanted the technology that could do that, and we help them with that. So what we do is we contact the companies who can provide with this technology, and then we make a partnership. And when the project happens and they pay, then we get 10% of this project.
Because this is a deep tech environment, both the provider and the customer.
It's true, but we want to make it such in a way that also, actually how I do it is I get the request, there are some keywords, I have an Excel with the companies, they tell me what are the services, so I match and then I see more or less. So we want this to be automatized, this part, in order to be scalable. So at the moment it's not automatized, I do it to understand how the requests are taken and how can we make the match. But the idea is to end up building this, I mean, it's a simple bot, no? So reads keywords and reads the other keywords and makes the connection. So it should not be.
So if I understand it properly, because it's a bit weird, your world for me, I mean, I'm probably very far away from it.
In which field are you?
In internet and B2B software mostly. But if I understand it properly, you're kind of a purchasing department for external purchasing department for engineers who are working companies, production companies, and they have very specific niche needs of technology. And you're finding out this technology for them.
Yeah, so in Europe, the person who searches for the product that they need for the R&D department, that's usually not the same person who buys it. So they basically, so we help the person who's designing the next technology that will happen in the future. So these are our users who are basically looking for lenses, lasers, fiber optics, and they look for them and they want to compare them through the different providers. Because so what happens now is that if you want a lens, let's say to make it easier, you'll see that you need transparency, a certain dispersion, certain substrate, but you will never find that provider who has exactly what you want. You'll have to always compromise. So in this compromise comes the time that you spend comparing each specification from each supplier, because you want to have the best balance at the end of the technical requirements that you need for your process.
Hi. How large is this market in terms of total value?
The total value is $686 billion, but we are not, I mean, that's like the photonics market. The products, like photonics products, it's that we potentially could have, it's $285 billion dollar market, and the ones that we planned to add this year we have optical components, which is around 1.3 billion market, and next year we want to add laser sources, optomechanics, fiber optics, and detection devices, and this adds up a $50 billion market. And with this market is a market that spends a lot of money in marketing. They spend $5 billion. So the market that we're going to be addressing spends $5 billion per year in marketing, because it's very expensive for them to really find it. And so this direct access to the users is very expensive. So when we started the company, we didn't know that. And while we were, we had the dream to help the engineers, but we didn't understand that we were also helping the other side. And then when we understood that, we were like, okay, so then it makes sense, everything. So we do help the providers also to find their clients.
So who is exactly is this a marketplace? Can we say it's a marketplace?
Yeah, okay.
So who is the buyer? Like, who is this engineer? What kind of companies are they?
For example, we worked with Volkswagen, we worked with Philips and Intuitive Surgical, this I mentioned, ASML in Netherlands.
Are they all massive companies, or
Those are massive
small
companies.
companies?
Now, small companies,
equally?
for example, one in Barcelona who contact us, they do something called OTC, which is optical tomography, that they detect cancer on the skin. So you do it by some interferences in the light. And so they are like small companies medical companies, for example, that want to enter. And mainly
So they are kind of prototyping a project and they need a component, and then the engineer finds you, or the engineer realizes that they need some photonics component.
Exactly.
Okay, and the providers, how many providers?
So the whole industry is like, normies is like 5,000 providers. The ones that we find out that could enter in the first stage of our company, because once we are big, then who knows who can start. But now it will be like 25%, which are from those companies, the ones that are a bit more digitalized, because we need to be able to integrate their product, and this means that they need to have the products on their website, which most of them don't have it. So
they don't have a website with a catalog of their components.
Only 25% of these 5,000 have this catalog online. So those ones are the ones that it's easier to start with.
And it's distributed evenly between like very large vendors and very small vendors?
Is it, sorry, what?
Distributed between like huge vendors that everybody knows, like top 3, 4, 5 companies.
Yeah.
Have like 70% of the market.
This happens, yeah.
And then there is like a long tail of very small.
Yes. So what we do with the big ones is, one of them is our client, but
the big ones don't need a marketplace,
exactly,
right?
But one of them is our client, although they don't need us. But I think because they compete between them anyways. But so the MetaSearch, so we have designed MetaSearch that can integrate all their products, although we don't have a partnership with them. And so the revenue will come from the smaller providers, basically.
And so not the last, I have a lot of questions actually. So what technology or what product really helps the buyer find the right product? Because if they're engineers, I'm guessing they kind of know very well the specifications that they need.
Yes and no. So if you've been in the field for many years, then probably yes. If then you want to try something new, then although you've been many years in the field, the field is so broad that maybe you don't know. For example, there are some optics who can make from a beam some rings. Maybe you have never used that, so you have no idea. And what we want to achieve with the platform is that it guides you in that way.
How does it guide you? How does it tell you about this new thing?
About the functionality. So we'll have simulators. It's easy because at the end is light, so you can have a refractive index and it bends. So you will have simulators that say, okay, so if you put this here, this acts like that. If you change it, this is gonna end up like this. So this is the next level of the marketplace.
And the buyer wants, like, how often do they need photonics products? Like, they make one prototype or one new product and they just get it and then it's done? Or are they buying every month? Are they buying every year?
It depends on the profile. For example, there are some of our buyers who are working in engineer consultancies for only photonics, and they buy every week. And then there are others that buy...
They buy different products every week or the same one?
So because they work for projects, so they are consultancies, so it's different projects that they move on. And then there are other that are, well, I mean, more monthly and others that are more. So the thing is that optics, for example, if you touch them, your I can say, your fingerprint, you leave it your fingerprint like the la grasa on the optic, and then the optic, the coating is completely ruined, and you basically can throw it away, and the coatings can cost 1,000 euros. So it's like consumables for the market. I mean, the market has quite a lot of money, and so optics for them is consumables, and this is why we started with this, with optics and not with lasers, for example, because lasers can cost 1 million, and then it's like buying a car. You're not going to buy a car like so easily on the internet. So.
Okay. Yeah, we ran out of time.
Okay. Thank you. Sure.
Yeah. How much did you sell last year in euros?
So we do not sell through the platform except for one company. So we did not sell any product. What we have in revenues is 20K.
That's revenue, or
it's
not
net
gross merchandise
revenue.
value? It's your revenue, no?
It's our
But you
revenue.
charge the customer.
Yeah.
Okay. And what
so they pay to put the products, and this was 16,000 something, and then we also had money from the projects that we commissioned 10%, and we also...
So that 16,000 euros was just for publishing the product?
16 something, yeah.
And then 4,000 euros was
for...
the commission, the 10% commission.
Well, it's more split in more things, but yes, more or less, yeah. Yeah, so it's projects. I mean, 2 of the projects we made it ourselves, but yeah. So it was more consultancy, 2 of the projects. Okay. So of the requests that we got, let's say, we had the other 4,000 from the requests, not for partnerships.
And what do you want to do with this million euros?
So now we have optics, and we want to build the meta search for the different lines of products that are compatible with optics. When you have a lens, you need to put it in a mount. So these are optomechanics. So one of the lines is optomechanics. The other line is laser sources. And laser, so you have the lens, it's mounted, and now you need the laser source. Then the same way that electronics was miniaturized, the photonics is happening the same. We have something called integrated photonics, and it's a big market growing extremely fast.
So product, just to summarize.
Yeah, okay. So for each line of the product, it's to develop each line of the...
So product development, mostly.
Product development,
it's
60%.
Not marketing or sales.
And no, there is a part of marketing, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We jump to feedback.
Okay.
I don't like marketplaces in the first place because it's not easy. I mean, you don't get a high commission. Here is a 10% commission, as you're saying. Even if the market is 1.5 billion, 10% commission is 150 million euros if you have 100% of the market. So that's why I don't like marketplaces, because commission is low, you don't control the market. The market looks like in the supply side. It's very technical, very specific. I don't see how it grows. It's not transactional, etc., etc. Unless I see a big traction here, and I don't see it, because in 1 year, 15,000 is not, I wouldn't invest there.
In my case, I mean, as I was saying earlier, it's very niche, it's very specific. So I have no idea of the kind of profile that you're talking about. So I realize that you've done consultancy more than building a marketplace so far. I mean, a marketplace, it's something that needs twice, 2 miracles, let's say, 2 miracles. No, on one side having the one side of the platform, the ones that sell, and the ones that buy. No, and if they don't happen at the same time, it doesn't work. So you need a lot of liquidity. This is usually easy to happen in one niche than in a very big market. So if you understand very well the economics of this market, it could and the players in this market, that could make sense. I would have to see, as Juan said, some traction some liquidity in this marketplace in order to understand and project. You're talking about billions, very big TAM, but that's probably not your actual TAM. So your total available market, in a sense that your business model is a part of this market. No?
Yep.
It's a very niche part. So I would try to explain a little bit better for the next pitch what's exactly your market and what's your cut in this market. No, because if you talk about photonics and you talk about so many billions, that's difficult to imagine for somebody who's trying to invest as an initial market. No, so. That's my feedback. I really didn't understand much where's the business. It's very specific, and I didn't understand the business for the investor, not for yourself, which I can understand, especially if it's a consultancy, for the investor who's willing to understand how can you do 100 million euros in 4 years. That's what we are trying to understand. So if you could, I don't know, skip the details on the optics, which we are not going to understand because we have no idea, and talk about the business a little bit more, that would make probably more sense. But that would be for next iteration.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedback. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We need to understand deeply what's your business before to be able to analyze if we can invest or not. And in this case, I think the business, you know it deeply, of course, as far as you explained, but then it's necessary to see how can it scale to be able to have a return on the investment. And this is what we should see, as my colleagues have said.
Okay.
Thank you very much for
thank
coming.
you.
Box2box.
Hola, ¿puedo compartir mi pantalla para presentar o es como oral?
Sí, es oral.
Vale.
Sin pantalla, sin compartir decks ni nada. 3 minutos
Vale.
de contarnos dónde hay el negocio.
¿Y en inglés o en castellano está bien o cómo?
¿En inglés te va bien?
Sí, vamos.
Perfecto. So in English. Thank you.
Okay, so nice to meet you. I'm Guillaume. I'm the CEO and co-founder of box2box. We are a Spanish startup, and what we are doing is we are a digital storage service solution for people and companies, which includes the transport and the online management of the items. Box2box has been founded. We have founded the company in 2018, and since we have grown very fast. First, we began in Madrid, and after that, we have opened in Valencia, Barcelona, and in other Spanish cities. And next, we have expanded to France last year and Portugal last year. So 18 months ago, we have made a first seed round of 300,000 euros with Encomenda as the lead investor. And now we are growing pretty fast, so that's why we have opened this round. Why do we exist? Basically, because there is a huge problem for people and companies in managing their belongings. Because more and more people is living to the city, and the high density in the city means the apartments are very expensive, small, and there is little space to store the items. And it's the same problem for the businesses. There is no place to stock for the little companies. And it's a phenomenon. This is amplifying because always more and more people is going to the cities to work and live. So how can you do when you need to transport, store, and access to your item? We offer kind of an end-to-end solution. So the clients from his mobile phone, they decide everything. It tells us where to realize the pickup. We send a team, and we collect all the items. What we do is we track all the items with barcodes we put on the items, and we build an online inventory of all the belongings. After that, we store the stuff in our facilities, and the client in any moment can order an item through the digital inventory he has. So the client saves times, he makes no effort, and he saves money. How we make money? Basically, we have two streams of revenue. It's a almost complete recurring revenue business. 80% of our revenue is recurring revenue, is what clients pay for the space they rent. and the rest, they pay for extra services as transport, wrapping, disassembling, etc. Each month, a client pay in average 90 euros, and the lifetime is 9 months. It's still growing. So in total, he pays 810 euros. Half of it is our direct cost, warehouses and transport, and the rest is our gross margin. Our acquisition cost is average 130 euros. So we have a lifetime value divided by cost of acquisition ratio equal to 3.1. So it's pretty interesting. If we take a look at the real numbers, we're kind of very international as a company. My partner is Dutch, I'm from France. So what we have did last year, we are operating right now in 8 cities and in 3 different countries. What we did, we have succeeded this year in doubling the recurring revenue we were generating from 25,000 a month to 55,000 a month. And last month, we have invoiced 83,000 euros so that you can have an idea. What we have succeeded in reach a positive EBITDA in Madrid, the city which represents 60%. Yeah.
Hello? It's time. Yeah. So we have 3 minutes.
Okay.
A little bit to the time.
Sorry. Basically, a quick conclusion. We have been growing very fast. Right now, we need between 700,000 and 1 million. We already covered a third of this inversion. Our current investors and some new investors are entering, and we need it to accelerate the geographical expansion and to develop our B2B technology platform, which is the main objective this year. If you have some questions.
Yeah, I do. So it's kind of like Box Motions or these kind of players, no? That we have here.
Yes, it's similar.
Okay. Okay, so what is the main thing that you need to do well in order to execute your plan? So if you have to choose, what's the most important thing? Is it user acquisition? Is it buying the right storage in the right place? Is it managing the operation? What is it? What will make you?
Oh, it's managing the operation. Because managing well your operation, it allows you to have bigger margins, and it allows you to propose some interesting prices to the client, so the acquisition is way easier. So the point, what's the difference between Box Motion and us? I mean, we understand maybe better the markets. We have negotiated better partnerships with the companies which are doing the storage for our clients. And the conclusion of this is we have been able with less money and in only 3 years to grow faster and to reach bigger results. So right now, the way we want to make the differentiation with them, for example, is by building a B2B platform, which is going to allow us to capture more B2B clients, because a lot of little companies want to externalize their logistic processes. And they are very interesting clients for us because they have a big lifetime. They stay several years with us.
So you're both B2B and B2C?
We are, for the moment, 90% B2C and 10% B2B. But the objective is to arrive to a balance of 70% B2C and 30% B2B within 2 years.
70% B2B. B2C, okay.
No, sorry, we are currently 90% B2C, 10% B2B, and we want to reach a different balance of 70% B2C and 30% B2B by capturing more B2B clients through the technology platform we want to develop this year.
Guillaume, good afternoon. What are your business margins, gross margin, and the profit in the end, the operational margin that you have here?
Yeah, the strategy we have is to propose a very affordable basic service. So what we propose to break down all the barrier of contracting us is to propose the moving for free to the clients up to 6 square meters. So in the transport after we lose money, but We do it on purpose because after the real gross margin we have of 80% is on the storage. We have our storage centers outside the cities, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So it allows us to have it for very cheap, and we make the real margin here. So in average, in a city which is working well, like Madrid, when we reach a good amount of active clients, we have a gross margin of 44%. And the objective, by increasing the lifetime of the B2C clients and capturing more B2B clients, is to reach more than 50%. And we want to reach it within 2 years.
So right now you say a city that is working well is Madrid, no, for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madrid, Valencia, Sevilla are working pretty well.
At a 44% margin, gross margin. Okay. So in the last 6 months, how many customers did you attract? How much?
In the last 6 months, I mean, maybe 600 clients.
And they pay 90 euros per month, each of them?
90 euros in average a month, yes.
Okay. And how much recurring revenue do you have at the moment?
We have reached 55,000 euros last month. And in total, we invoiced 83,000 euros like last month.
83,000 euros. Okay. And the margin, as Juan was saying, I didn't get that part. The margin, the aggregated margin at the moment, it's negative.
No. The global margin is 40%.
But that's a city that's working well. But what about the aggregated gross margin?
Oh, it's the global. I'm saying to you, 40%. So global gross margin. In cities where it's working pretty well, we are reaching 44%, but we had some problem, for example, in Barcelona with some providers. We have had some direct costs which have increased due to COVID mainly. We have change of provider, and in Barcelona, for example, we have a gross margin of 20%, which has made low our global gross margin.
Okay.
So I had a chance to see your deck. You say that it is an asset-light model. Why is it asset-light?
Yeah.
I mean, warehouse, and you need somebody who ships boxes around, right? That's the same for everybody else.
Yeah, we call it asset-light because at first in Madrid, we were working distinctly. We had our own warehouses, we had our own teams, but when we wanted to expand, we decided to not hire teams, not have long contract of 5 years to rent a warehouse. So what we looked for was to share warehouses with companies who wanted to make some empty space profitable. So we closed some deal with them, and we share these spaces. Or we work with logistic companies, so we only pay for the space our clients currently use. And it's the same for the teams. We use freelance systems, so we train them a lot, so they can work with a good quality, and we pay them for the amount of work they do. But we have no fixed costs in these cities.
Okay.
So that's why we call it asset light, because it's very easy to open a new city. We have no entry costs, and so it's only variable costs.
But on the other hand, on the same slide I'm looking at, you say that you have a 20K investment required to open a city. So what is this 20K?
Yes. Basically, at first, when we begin, we pay the workers to do the operation of the moving. So the inflection point is when we have a big enough active clients basis, we are able to invert the curve and begin to do some profits. But at the beginning, we have some months during which
ramp up of customers until the customers start paying enough recurring revenue. It's subsidizing the first shipping.
What?
So the investment is subsidizing the first shipping primarily.
Yes. Basically, we have to assume this cost at first.
So if you didn't have the first shipping free, which is a random arbitrary decision,
Yeah.
if you charge for that, you would be profitable from the first day with much higher margins in a new city.
Yeah. But we wouldn't be we will have higher cost of acquisition, and we will acquire less clients.
Perfect. Speaking of cost of acquisition, I think you didn't talk about that. Where are you getting?
Okay.
How much is it costing you?
We have a digital marketing strategy. We capture the clients mainly through AdWords, through social network, and we succeed this year in lowering our cost of acquisition, mainly in Madrid, by 15% because of the 3 years of penetration we have in this city. And in average, our cost is 130 euros for capturing a client. And we want to,
Customer primarily through paid advertising?
Yeah.
In social media, like Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, it's working less, but in Google AdWords or Facebook, yeah, we capture more clients.
Okay. And you're doing this the same in all the cities? You find that people just look for these and then they find you?
Yeah.
They buy online and...
Yeah, and when we want to diversify this to capture more B2B clients, which are very interesting because they have a large lifetime, is we want to develop this B2B platform and have a sales team which is able to capture more actively companies as clients. And this project for this year.
Margin, okay, I'll finish the question, sorry. 40-something% margin is using these shared warehouses and these freelancers?
Yes.
If you were to, let's say for security reasons or labor regulations, employ full-time people and use your own warehouse, obviously that would just make this margin significantly lower.
No, higher. When we have a full workload, we realize that it's more interesting to have our own installations. But it's not so easy to expand when we have our own installations, our own warehouses.
So I took a lot of time. Just one question from the audience that wants to be asked. Yeah. Oh, there's a third microphone, COVID-free.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hello. Thank you. Just a quick question. So, if you have clients who find you and they want to store their items with you, so you basically send people to them to pick up the items and bring it to the warehouse. And what if, like, the customer, I don't know, how often or how does the customer has access to, later on to the items, and like, do they have to pay for it? Right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. A customer can't access our warehouses. So we don't, so it's very cheap for us. We have like kind of logistic warehouses. So what we do is the customer has to choose in his inventory the item he wants. So the first partial delivery is free. So the customer is seeing is a very flexible service, and it's very interesting. It's very affordable. And after the next one, partial operation to add or to deliver some items, he pays according to the volume of items we deliver.
Thanks for the answer. So quick round of feedback. I'll start myself. First of all, congratulations on the execution so far, because you've really managed to grow, capital efficiently the business to significant numbers. I think the key here is this opening of cities and maintaining the gross margins. I'm not convinced yet, but I would like to give it a thought, discuss with my colleagues, and potentially follow up with you to understand more the numbers, because this is definitely an operations business. Juan here is the expert in this area, so I'd like to discuss more with the team. But you definitely achieved something remarkable. So congrats on the progress, and we'll stay in touch.
Okay.
echo what he said. I mean, it's a very operational business about margins, and as competition gets tougher, margins get slower. So it's about execution here very efficiently. But numbers look good, and I would probably like to know a little bit more.
Okay.
One small thing I would add is that we are an early stage fund. Yeah, so we usually invest in the first steps of a project, even before traction. So that would be probably a little bit late for us. We would have done probably the first round, the one that you did with Encomenda. And I would encourage you, given the fact that you are also, you have an international expansion plan, I would encourage you to look at the investment scenario also outside Spain. There's so many around Europe, and way more than in Spain, especially in I don't know, in London, in Berlin, and in Paris. So you probably would find partners could maybe potentially give you interesting conditions as well. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is Ana Rocha. She's going to be online.
Yes. Hola. Hello, everyone from Berlin. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I will start. So hello, we are Inu, and I start by talking about endometriosis, or the presence of endometrial cells outside the uterine cavity. One of the common symptoms of endometriosis is severe menstrual pain and infertility, and currently there is no cure. And you may be wondering, how big is this problem? So take a look around, or think about 10 women you know. It can be your mother, your sister, your friends. What if I told you that it's almost certain at least one of them has this disease? That's the current prevalence of endometriosis. 1 in 10 worldwide have it, and yet takes 10 years on average to have a correct diagnosis. Can you imagine the impact that this disease has in the health, mental health, and productivity of these women? So that's why Inu exists, to provide a health support for these women. So we provide an app that composed with a symptom tracker that focuses only on the symptoms of endometriosis, such as bloating, pain during sex, only what matters. And with the data we collected, we provide an analysis screen that gives information that can be easily shared with their doctors or their partners, and advise them to seek a specialist in case of systematic patterns of pain, for example. Alongside, we have a therapy that is called Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, CBT, in audio format, with a total of 28-day session, each 15 minutes, developed together with the University of Melbourne in Australia, that is clinical proven to help with chronic pain. And also, alongside, we have anti-inflammatory nutrition tips that helps mitigate the symptoms. So the pain out there is big, and there are already small companies that are trying to solve this. But we stand out by developing an app that brings utility, actionable solutions to solve their pains, and it's affordable. It's right there in their pocket. My name is Catarina, and I have over 5 years of experience in the healthcare and startup scene. I work together with my 2 co-founders, and the core team spans experience among science, healthcare, economics, and marketing. We are aiming to enter the German healthcare market and capture 10% by 2025 of the endo market that is currently worth 260 million euros. And we do it so by providing a subscription model of $59.99 to a B2C market in the first 2 years. And by 2023, we have an additional monetization stream that is called by entering DIGA, it means being reimbursed by insurances. So we are raising a capital of 500K, and in order to increase the team, get medical certification, development of a product, and publish the first scientific study. So if you resonate with our cause, please join us in our mission of disrupting the uterus tech market and fight endometriosis together. So thank you.
So if anybody has questions, just raise your hands. I'll start. So what do you have done so far, Anna?
Yeah, so we started 7 months ago, and we did several prototype cycle testing. And we are going to release now the MVP 1.0 now in February. But we test the demand for the product. So we did like Dropbox, we did a video explainer, and we asked women to sign up for if they were interested. And we currently have 95 women that are going to test now in February. And we did it only organically because, so we can't do paid ads because of advertising policies.
Understood. And you said the pricing model was $59?
$59.99 per year. So.
Okay. And is there a similar app or service for the same like detection and prevention of this disease?
There are several apps that focus on the symptom tracking. Also provide pain management. But for example, regarding CBT, they demand that we go online, we schedule with a therapist, and we spend additional money on that. And while we stand out by being the only one that actually provides simply solutions that they can hear anytime, anywhere, and still has the same effect as going to a therapist.
Yeah, not an expert in health in general, but so people, women, obviously, discover the app, download it, pay for it before they are aware of potentially having any illness or any symptoms, right?
This is what we aim, serve as a diagnostic aid, but as the first entrance, we only going to focus on women with endometriosis. That's in our go-to-market strategy for now, is focusing on women with endometriosis. And with the development of the app goes and further, we become more and more fine-tuned for women don't know if they have the disease, because that demands an additional education. So right now we are focusing with the ones that have already the disease.
The ones that have it and know about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
So imagine I'm a woman, I have endometriosis, I go to your app, and what is done for me? I mean, why is it going to help me instead of going to the doctor and get a treatment?
Yeah, so the current golden treatment now is surgery and birth control pill, and we perform over 70 customer interviews, and more than 60%, because the pain and symptoms return, and more than 60% didn't know how to manage that, and also they were seeking for natural ways to control their pain. This is number one problem. The second is each doctor has more or less, a gynecologist has 7 minutes for each patient. So they don't actually take the time to talk about alternatives or how to improve their wellness. So this is what we cover. So when we enter our app, they enter in the app that it's with content mainly focused on them and their disease and how to handle it. So it's a safe place for them.
Hi. I still don't understand, to be honest, what's the uniqueness. Let's say there's somebody that is listening or seeing your app and say, okay, I'm going to do the same thing with, let's say, 10 million euros more than you. So what's your unfair advantage?
So right now we have first the momentum, and secondly, the therapy that we have, it's clinical proven. So it's not simply just to create so cognitive behavioral therapy is not meditation, right? What they do is, in a nutshell, they trick the brain to change the perception that the person has from the pain, so which increase their quality of life with that. So it's not simply a question of developing audio sessions of cognitive behavioral therapy and that's it. So what we have right now and holding the IP rights for is to a pain management therapy that is easy to use, it's affordable, and it's practical. They can listen to every time, everywhere.
So it's an audio therapy. This is your unfair advantage today.
Today, yes.
And you've tried this
Yeah.
with a selection of women who manifested to change their pain or their behavior to feel better.
Yes, so we tested in 20 women. So far, we measured the increment of quality of life, pain catastrophizing, which means the change the perception of pain, and pain self-efficacy, which means they were able to perform their tasks better despite the pain they were feeling. And we see an increase in all these levels. And right now we have established a partnership with the clinic. We are currently writing an application for the ethical committee to start a randomized clinical trial with the app, with the audio session.
Did this woman pay 60 euros?
The app costs 60 euros per year, yeah.
Did they pay 60 euros, these women?
So what they didn't pay, we test the willingness to pay. We asked after they went through the therapy if they were willing to pay for it. We have been testing several times. Right now, the current costs of per year for women with endometriosis in all the healthcare costs, it's around 6,000 euros. So we have been testing with several tests, business model tests about the economics part, the pricing, and so far it's 5 euros per month and or 59.99 per year.
Okay. So we move to feedback. I can start. So obviously I have no idea about the pain myself, especially as all of us are men. So in this case, we can be empathetic, but we haven't felt it. But I'm sure that if this is a big problem, there's need for a solution. And at the same time, I'm sure that if there is a solution, there's going to be a lot of demand for it because, as you said, it's a big problem in the world. So the problem is with this kind of solutions to medical problem is that if we are not experts on the problem, neither the problem nor the solution, we have no way to assess what are we investing in, right? We are not experts in the matter. So if we don't see how this is working very well in women and changing their life, and at least 60 euros, changing their lives worth 60 euros, which, by the way, the best way to test the willingness to pay is it's making them pay. That's the best way. Because otherwise everybody can lie about the willingness to pay. So if we cannot check that, it would be very, very, very hard for us to make an investment decision on this field. And at the same time, this is a problem because if you test it and you prove it, we won't be in time to invest because there will be probably somebody closer to you, closer to the medical problem that will invest faster than us. So that's what I would tell you. And this kind of situation would be hard for me to decide to invest. I don't know about you. You have different opinion?
No, I think resonate with I don't know how you said that, with the mission that you have. So it's great that you're finding a good solution to this big problem. We not knowing about the medical scientific solution that you came up with, it's very hard to assess if that is the main intellectual property of the company. Knowing a little bit more about distribution of B2C applications and generating demand, it is very tough. The few businesses in women health and health in general that are somehow close to us, it's been very hard to break through the first thousands or tens of thousands of users. And then churn is massive, so it costs a lot of time, a lot of money to get users, and then it's very hard to retain them. I hope if you really cure these people, they will cancel the subscription because as thankful as they are, once they're cured, I guess they don't need it anymore. So this is very tough. I think it's potentially a great thing to do to help people heal, and it's also potentially very good business for you. But I have a hard time imagining a multi-100 million euro business with recurrence and with healthy unit economics, meaning acquiring users is considerably cheaper than the money you can make out of them. So it feels like a tough business to invest, even given the fact that it's hard to judge the scientific development that you're doing. So I would really encourage you to do this, hopefully, maybe with a scientifically minded investor that can understand the value of your IP and potentially even help you, patent it or whatever faster. So I don't think, at least I am the right investor for a company like this. Yeah.
Well, having said that, I don't know about this illness, but I think if we could understand the uniqueness of your treatment, I think it would be interesting to understand deeply about your business, because if you have something different, this must be, the market is huge, I understand. But we should understand, I suppose, sharing with doctors, sharing with experts, what's different in your treatment. I understand what you said about the difficulty of a doctor who cannot attend for longer than 7 minutes to their patients. But what's different in your treatment that nobody else has, right? But I find it very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. I mean, I'm a little far off this problem, so I don't understand it. I mean, I understand it's a big pain, but for the people who have it, but but I would like, even I have two problems here. One of them is that even if you go to 100% of the market in Europe would be like 15 million euro, 15 million women. So it looks like not such a big market, even if you have 100%. Because it's 50% and 10% or 15%, right? And then is women, I guess, that are in between 25 and 35 years old. So the whole market is not that big. And B, I need to see how it gets some kind of traction, because I guess if I have this problem and it's a big pain, I would go to the doctor first. So unless the market will be bigger and you get traction, I don't see it.
Thank you very much, Anna. Please don't take what we say in any case.
No worries.
Feedback. You pitch as many people as you can.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So the next would be Ronan Leskop. Oh, no? Okay, so Ronan disappears. I hope it's not because of the feedback. So probably Juan's fault. Next could be Zigor Nuer from starpay.es.
Hello. Actually, we have changed places. So I am Javier. I'm talking on behalf of Zigor. I am also one of the partners. So it's okay. I'm going to start then. And basically, today there are two worlds when it comes to digitalization. On one hand, there is the West, where there are a series of disconnected apps and a series of payment methods like Visa, MasterCards that look at each other, but they do not speak to each other. So when a customer pays in a car with a card on a local store, the customer leaves and the store loses all the contact with that customer who has already bought at that store. On the other hand, there is Asia, where there is an ecosystem in which apps and payments are connected to each other. I'm talking about if you have it in China, Alipay or WeChat, in Korea, Kakao Pay, Line Pay in Japan, where the payment is made from the social media itself, with the payment method from the social media, where the store is part of that social media and it has a direct communication channel with the customer and it's connected to other apps. So for example, in Asia, when you scan a QR code in a restaurant, instead of sending it to a menu that is in JPG or PDF, it takes you to a digital menu that is connected to the kitchen system. You order from that menu on your mobile, you pay without leaving your social media. You share the pictures from that place with your friends. You receive discounts to encourage more consumption in that social media. You receive your restaurant card on your mobile, so you have the possibility to order the next day from the same restaurant. And that's just one simple example about how digitalization became possible in Asia when we mix it together with the payments. I myself have been living in China for 16 years, and we saw that in the West, it was necessary a useful digitalization, a set of tools which allows not only large companies, but also small and medium-sized companies to digitalize. And when I say useful digitalization, I mean not only that we go from offline and to online, we put everything in Amazon. No, I'm talking about going one step further by going from offline to online and then back to offline. So in a way that I have said that the user can return to the physical store, we can encourage consumption and we support the local merchants. How do we do it? We concentrate on process mobile payments by linking them with social media, with e-commerce, with digital marketing, and we promote consumption, giving businesses those tools to move traffic on social networks. This year, we will see actually a lot of this going on in Europe related to QR codes and mobile payments. There are already 8 million people in Spain who by the end of the year will be able to activate these payment methods with the applications that they already use in a day-to-day. I'm not counting with WhatsApp Pay that maybe one day will come. And when tourism returns, we will have 30 million Asian tourists in Europe, 3 million in Spain, that they are already used to work at this. To summarize, we are actually an aggregator, like a Bizum of those exotic, we call it exotic QR code payments. And we do not stall at the payment. And we go further by connecting mobile payments with those digitalization tools. And it doesn't matter if those tools are ours or from another third party. We have already over 120 merchants as Toast, 150, or small shops such as the stalls of the Boqueria market. In the team, we have Paco Acosta, who was the former innovation director from Bankinter, Mike Beatty, that was the programmer who made the first payment tool through SMS in 1999 with British Telecom, Ernesto Cacavale, which is the former CEO of Alibaba in Europe, and other partners like me who have a great experience in China. We are looking for 3.5 million in 2 stages, so €500,000 for scaling the business and automatized processes, and 3 million at the end of the year when we can deliver the results that we believe we will. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Javier, no? You said?
Yes.
What's your role in the company?
I am the innovation director.
Innovation director. Okay. Okay, so if I understood it properly, you are a payment method?
Now, what we do actually is we process, we're an acquisition company. We process payments from different type of QR code payment methods. For example, a bank in Europe, what they do, banks is they process Visa and MasterCard. What we do is we process anything related to QR code payments, like WeChat Pay, Alipay, Kakao Pay, Line Pay, all these ones.
So you're bringing China's payment methods to Europe.
That's it. And don't think only about Europe. I mean, now in Europe, there are a lot of these QR code payment methods developing. Like, for example, AliExpress is developing, WhatsApp is developing these payment methods. So they need to have a bank-like system that actually can process all these payments.
So your market bet, let's say, is that the European market is going to mimic the Chinese market and bring Alipay, WeChat, and this kind of banks, because they are also banks, to Europe. And
Yes.
people will adopt them as regular payment methods, online and offline.
Yes, that's right. What we did is in 2017, we realized that it was really this was already really advancing in China. And we knew that it was going to happen. Actually, there was a change in the regulation in Europe, the PSD2, mainly focused on that direction already. So what we did is, okay, let's take this to Europe. Let's start processing those payments for those that already have it, which at that moment it was only the Chinese with Alipay and WeChat. And then we added the ones that they were starting to appear, like Line Pay and Kakao Pay. And we know that, I mean, we know because we are in this field and we know who is developing these payment methods. We know that there are many of them actually opening this year. And actually, the COVID, one of the things that it did is it was to speed up this process of using payments through QR code.
So you're going to enable shops or apps or e-commerce to pay with these methods.
That's right.
But you're not talking about WeChat. You're talking about some banks here that will develop similar methods, no?
Yes, any type of method that is QR code related. Anything that is not a card or a credit card, all those payment methods.
And what stage are you right now? Because this is something that haven't yet changed. It hasn't happened yet, no?
Yes, we already had the processor. We have been processing payments since 2019. And then the important thing here is that we don't do only because it's very hard to understand if you don't live if you haven't lived in China. But what is happening there is that it's not only what happens through the payment, is that in order to get to the payment, you need to have the marketing tools, you need to have the apps related to it, you need to have connections that actually the banks here in Europe, they don't have right now.
To understand, what is the actual technology that you have? How do you help the vendor set up this if they don't have a relationship with one of the QR code transaction providers?
Well, even if they have a relationship with the QR code transaction providers like WeChat, Alipay, or WhatsApp, they cannot do it themselves. They need to have, according to the European regulation, you need to have a payment institution in the middle in order to be able to do all this process. And then what we provide is first the tools for paying, but then also anything that is related to how to do that with, at this moment, Chinese tourists, Korean tourists, and Japanese tourists.
But if I have a shop, what do you give me?
Okay, if you have a shop, which kind of shop, for example, let me know.
Which we literally do like 10 meters behind us. We have a coffee shop and we want to charge Chinese tourists via WeChat, WePay.
Okay, the first thing that we would do, well, that's a very simple case, but the first thing that we would do is put you into their maps, because in China, they don't use the maps that we have over here. We will put you into their Facebook. They don't have Facebook, they don't have WhatsApp, they don't have Google. We'll put you in all of their applications, in all their system. We will enable the payment system for you through QR code. We'll give you a QR code or a POS machine, whatever you prefer. We will enable, for example, that you can create, in the case of coffee shops, we have done this before, that you can create point systems directly on WeChat or directly on Alipay, or at the end of the year when it comes out, directly on AliExpress for Spanish users. So people, they don't need to have one card where you stamp every time that you get a coffee, another thing for paying, another thing for going there. You will have everything together in one place. So whenever you want to give points to somebody, they will just get it directly on their WeChat. That's how it works. Or their AliExpress, this is how it will work. And automatically they will get the points. They will pay through the app. Everything is all together.
So in summary, you will give me a QR code, and somehow when my customers come and pay with WePay, who gets the money? You get the money?
Well, it goes to a escrow account that is regulated by the Bank of Spain, and then the next day you will get the money.
The account, is it mine from my coffee shop, or is it yours and then you transfer it to me?
The money is actually belonging to the payment entity at that moment, and then it goes to you.
Okay. And do you need to be you need a special banking license?
Yes.
Spain?
Yes, we have an exclusivity agreement with a payment entity to get that.
Which payment entity?
Is Easy Payments. Easy Payments is the one that actually gives more solutions related to anything, I would say, related to apps payments.
Okay. Are there any more questions, actually? No? No? Online? No? Okay, so we'll do a quick round of feedback. I have to say, I'm still having a hard time understanding the whole package of the solution. And I haven't seen the need for this yet. But when it comes, I'm afraid the very powerful tech companies that are creating these methods will run and execute extremely well as they have in different markets. So I haven't been able to build a thesis that excites me yet, but part of it is because I haven't really understood the whole product.
So from the market standpoint, I mean, I understand the niche today is these Chinese travelers, and that could be a niche market. I don't know how big is it, or and then there's a change in the market, no? And the other bet is, okay, everything will go mobile, everything will go QR, just like in China, and you will have this unique position of providing these services for the rest of the market. Okay, on the second bet, I would have doubts because, as Jordi was saying, I think this kind of technology that will evolve very fast, and there are players such as, I don't know, let's Stripe, for example, to give an example, that will build an SDK very fast, no, and will adopt this technology just like they did with all kind of payment methods in the world before. So I would be very afraid of this change. And what you're trying to raise is a very big round of funding, and this is a big bet, especially for a small investor as us, that we usually invest in small initial projects that prove a concept in a small scale, but they think big and they think ambitiously, and they can prove it today in a small scale. We invest in lower valuations, probably. We invest less money, around 100,000 euros. So that will be probably out of our reach or target. So that's why I think we will not invest. Thank you very much, though.
Thank you.
And yeah, we leave it here. This was the last project. You, Jordi, will close? Okay.
So thank you, Javier, and thank you, everybody. Just to close, again, we do this every Thursday. You're welcome to join via Zoom or in person. I need to look here. Hello, everybody. And yeah, just in case you're not subscribed yet, we have a weekly newsletter where we publish interesting links around the tech ecosystem. We also have a podcast, which we publish weekly interviews, typically with entrepreneurs and their learnings. And we also have 3 startups that we're currently working on, Factorial, Camalún, and Kipu. So make sure to check them out in case we can help your businesses, or if you're looking for a job, maybe apply. We're hiring a lot of people. So see you next Thursday, and thanks for coming, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.